Welcome to the WanderLearn show. I'm your host, Tapon. On this episode, I've got Rick Gazarian. How are you, Rick? It's great to have you back.
Francis, I am beyond excited to be having this conversation with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, so you are putting on for the third time the Extraordinary Travel Festival, and it's going to be in the same location it was 2 years ago, which is Bangkok, where you live. What's going to be kind of different this time? What are you trying differently?
Francis, it's bigger, it's better, it's going to be awesome. One of the very different things I've done this year is it's actually 33% bigger, meaning I added on an entirely new day of content. So the past two events have been 3 days of content. Now we have 4 days of content. I don't have a great name for it. I'm calling it Travel Content Creation Day. I am screening 2 travel documentaries. I have 2 authors. I have a photographer who made the Nat Geo calendar. And then I have a panel of video content creators.
Wow, that's exciting. That's definitely different than you had the first 2 times around. And so for the little bit of background, let's get the dirty stuff out of the way. The ticket is $525, which is an amazing deal considering that you're going to get 4 days worth of content. You're also going to get some meal? How's the food situation?
So you will get 3 meals, 3 lunches, 6 coffee breaks. You will get 1 dinner, 1 party, 1 Nomad Mania award show, and then 1 meetup happy hour.
So that's a lot for $525. So it's a pretty good deal to start off with. And then for those who are listening to this show, you can use the discount code FTAPON. That's my initials. I'm not getting any, I don't think I'm getting compensated for this, but I don't care. It's FTAPON. Use that and you get $100 off. So down the ticket only gets to be $425. So it's a pretty good deal. Thanks for offering my audience that deal, Rick.
Your audience are special people, and they are all cordially invited to Bangkok, October 22 to 25 this year.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I think I've always told this to everybody. You go to the Extraordinary Travel Festival, it's kind of, let me back off. Kind of like going to Harvard. You people go to Harvard because either the name or the professors or something like that. But in the end, what makes Harvard interesting are the students, the people that you surround yourself with. That's what the networking opportunities and the lifelong friendships that you make. That's what really makes Harvard. And in some ways, ETF is the same thing. You go there, oh, wow, this speaker's there. Oh, wow, this event is there. Oh, wow, this movie screening is there. Johnny Ward is going to be showing stuff. That's all great. But then all of a sudden you just turn around and look at the person sitting to your right, to your left, and these are all extraordinary travelers themselves, everybody in the audience. So to me, that is what makes the whole event so special.
Agree 100%. The 3 pillars to come to ETF, as you said, number 1 is the community, finding your tribe, like-minded people, the most traveled people in the world, the top travelers in the world. That's the community, the network, old friends, new friends. Second, which you also pointed to, is the content. And I'm obviously very biased. I think I've gathered up some amazing individuals, some amazing travelers who will be sharing their stories, whether it's inspirational talk or whether it's actionable information. Just you're drinking from a fire hose, in my opinion. And number 3 is exploration. This can be through the conference or on your own. So we are organizing trips to Bhutan. We're organizing trips to Bangladesh and to the Phuket Vegetarian Festival. I have over 10 day tours. Only one of these day tours can you buy on your own, meaning every one of these tours is a bespoke tour, which I created, which is customized special for extraordinary travelers.
That's right. And they are a demanding audience because they've already seen quite a bit. Many of the people there have been to at least 50 countries. And, it's so funny hearing them, like they feel guilty, even though they're rock stars in every other situation. But still, it's amazing. And then some people actually, they haven't been to that many countries. When I say relatively speaking to the ETF community, maybe only 50, but they might have picked 50, really hard to get to countries or done some really intense experiences in those few countries that they've been to. In itself, that's extraordinary.
Anecdotally, I agree with that premise. And I would say that is kind of a new phenomenon over the last 10 years as chasing 193 has gained currency, has become more popular due to social media. You see people have been to 20 countries and their 19th country was Libya, or their 36th country is Tuvalu. And I was in Tuvalu the other year, and there's this woman from Seattle, and that was like her 38th country. I'm like, what are you doing here? And she saw, it's like, I saw this really cool reel on Tuvalu, and I said, why not? So I think that's an interesting dynamic versus the older version of someone 193. Okay, we'll start off with Europe. Then we'll try Morocco and Egypt. Okay, then we'll try Southeast Asia. So interesting to see how that's evolved.
Right. And no matter what, always at the very bottom of it is somewhere in West Africa or Middle Africa. Those are often the last countries to go aside from the North Koreas of the world and that kind of stuff. So, but let me also dispel another myth I think that sometimes we've talked about before, but I think bears repeating. A lot of times that surprised me when I went to the ETF twice is that the people who go there are not what you might think. Most people would think that they're just country counters. They fly into the airport, step outside, have a beer, and then jump back in the airport and fly away. And they tend to have intense experience. Even, the premier ETF member, which I would say is Thor Peterson, who's traveled to all the countries in 9.5 years, that saw them all and never grabbing a plane. Even Thor would get off the beaten track. He was on a mission to just spend 24 hours a minimum in each country, but in the end, he spent a lot of times more than that. So I guess, and the other one is, what's his name? God, I'm blanking on his name suddenly. Anyway, the bottom line is people go the extra mile is what I'm trying to say. Don't you think?
I think it always runs the gamut. And that's everything having to do with ETF or extreme travel. We have 20-year-olds coming. We have 83-year-olds coming. We have people from 6 different continents, every major religion, both sexes, every sexual preference, et cetera, et cetera. At ETF, you're going to have the deepest of the deep, people who have gone to Gabon 6 times. And then you will have someone who said, oh, I'm only doing a day trip to Argentina for whatever reason. So it runs the gamut. I mean, and you have to also pick your battle as well. If there's 193 countries, you can't spend a month most likely in each one. So for me, okay, I've been to Myanmar, Burma 6 times over a 20-year period. I love that country. I'm going to go back again. And then I have only spent the day in Uruguay. So what type of traveler does that make me? Am I a bad traveler? Am I flying in, flying out? I kind of pick my battles. Uruguay just happened to get shortchanged. I think I'll probably make it back for a longer visit, but then I'm spending more time and more research and more exploration in a company like Myanmar.
Tell us about your podcast. How's it going now? I know you put out a show at least once a month.
Yeah, it's changed over the years. At one point, it was weekly. I'm now in the monthly cadence for my traditional long format interview with the world's most traveled people like yourself. One of the best conversations I've had on the podcast. I'm coming up on 150 conversations, and I've been doing it for 11 years, which is, like everybody, the time just slips by. It's hard to believe I've been doing this so long. And I'm sure you feel the same way. It's a benefit or a gift to me in the fact that I have met so many amazing, interesting, fascinating, great people. Some of them have turned into friendships, and I'm lucky to be sitting on the other side of the microphone and partaking in these like amazing conversations.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love it as an excuse to when I see an article about something or read a book by some author, I enjoyed the book and I just want to talk to them. I'm like, great, I've got a podcast for that. I can,
Yeah.
versus I would never just call them out of the blue and they would probably never pick up the phone if I didn't have a podcast. So that is one of the benefits of doing it. It's not Certainly not financially lucrative, if in case anybody out there is thinking about doing that for that reason. You have to get it's kind of like being an author. In other words, the top 0.1% actually make a decent living, but the vast, vast, vast majority are not. And
Well,
so
I
you got
mean,
to do it because you love it.
yeah, there are over 4 million podcasts, the last statistic I've seen. You can go to listennotes.com and it will rank all of the podcasts for you. So you can see what percentile ranking your podcast is showing up. And yeah, to your point, you kind of have to be in the top 1% or top 0.5% to start having it be a somewhat of a money earner versus a money loser.
Every ETF, by the way, you bring the top, everybody's been to 150 countries, get on the stage. Everybody's been to all the countries, stay on the stage. And then everybody's been there 2 or 3 times. You got those crazy people. But how's been your trajectory? I mean, when did you start ETF One? Where were you? And then you've really been on a roll for the last few years.
So looking back in like 2015, I was probably in my 80s, around 80 countries, give or take. The first ETF was in 2022. I think I was around 140, 150, and now I'm at 190. So if you look at that window, '09 to 2026, I am not one of the fast ones. I've been plodding along,
Right, but at a
traveling.
consistent place. I mean, at a good pace. In other words, you're knocking off maybe one a month or something like that. I mean, you're steady.
Yeah, it's been a steady plugging away,
Right.
give or take. Obviously, COVID was a little different, but yeah, I've just been plugging away since '09. But from '09 to 2014, I wasn't quite as avid about visiting new countries. And I give credit and I give thanks really to the community. So to people like Stefan from Every Passport Stamp, I always say, if you called me up in 2013 and said, plan a trip next week for Central African Republic, I would tell you, even though I was technically chasing 193, I don't really want to go and I have no idea how to do it. And the community, every passport stamp, the friends you make, the acquaintances is the map or the key to unlock every lock. And I couldn't have done it really without the community and been able to visit the more challenging locations around the globe.
Speaking about those most challenging ones, the three that you have not been to, one of them is called a country. The country's name is called Voldemort. Voldemort,
So,
the person that shall not be named, the country that shall not be named. The other two,
Malta and Ireland.
okay. And I think you vaguely told me. I think you said that Ireland you were saving for last, ideally.
And this is one of those things I learned from having many conversations on my podcast. And to me, there's a fork at the road when it comes to the last country. You end up in your last country because it's the most difficult. It might be Eritrea, it might be North Korea, it might be Democratic Republic Congo, Kinshasa. And I think in the people I interviewed, like, oh, I got in at midnight into Kinshasa. The taxi driver robbed me. I got to the hotel at 2 a.m. There's no electricity. I walked up 11 flights of stairs and I sat in the room by myself with a candle celebrating 193. Doesn't sound fun, Francis.
Right,
Doesn't
right.
sound fun.
Yeah, there's another, who was it? Oh, I guess it was the guy who went to all the countries, and South Sudan was the last one.
Uh, Graham Hughes.
Yeah, Grant Hughes, that's right.
And then the other fork at the road are people who hold one back. Holding one back is a quote unquote nice country where it might be a little bit more low key, a little safer, a little bit more enjoyable. And then people started inviting family or friends. And now that other fork has branched off, Francis. And it's now become a celebration equivalent to a wedding. So I joined a 193 party last spring. April Peregrino, a friend of mine from Chicago, it was a 5-day event for 50 plus people. It was renting out a castle. It was renting out a boat to cruise down the Danube. It was insane. So, yeah, you end up where you end up, or you hold one back. And then if you hold one back, the new branch is my party going to be 1 day or 5 days?
So
It's
what's your
crazy.
party going to be like in Ireland, in Dublin, or wherever you're going to do it?
Yeah, I was a little frustrated with April.
Hey,
I go,
why
April.
don't you do ETF4 in Ireland and then have the event start when you arrive at the airport?
That would be nice. Um, so when I went to April's event, I told her, I'm like, April, you're putting me in a tough position. I was, expecting to buy a couple of kegs of Guinness. Now you're putting a lot of pressure on me. I'm gonna have to raise the bar. I don't know what I'm doing exactly. It's actually going to be the spring of next year, and I'm figuring out what it's going to look like exactly. It will not be 4 days though. It will not be 4 days.
Okay, okay. For me, by the way, I'm intending currently to leave the most populous country as the last country I have been to. So I've been to roughly 132 countries or so, and I'm saving the most populous country of all. I thought that would be kind of cool, right?
Everybody loves India. It'll
Yeah,
be
that's right.
amazing.
Yeah, and it's a variety. Everybody raves about it. Well, not everybody, but it seems like it would be a great place to end the whole thing. So that's kind of but I may not be able to do it that way. Sometimes things compel you to change. If China is another possibility because I haven't been to China, so these are two huge countries that would be kind of great uh, bookends to the adventure. Tell us about which speaker are you really looking forward to hearing the most?
They're all my favorites, just like children. Of course, you can't pick one, but okay. So one speaker who I've not announced yet, who just came aboard, his name is Dennis Gray, and he just wrote a memoir of his life. I just read the book. Great read. And he's, I think, early 80s. He happens to live in Thailand up north. And why is he coming to the event? He was a war correspondent for 5 decades. And I think there's a interesting dichotomy. He goes to all the same countries that we go to, and he's seeing it totally in a different perspective as a war correspondent. He covered the Vietnam War, the fall of Phnom Penh to the Khmer Rouge. He went to Bosnia, to Iraq, to Afghanistan. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to see him take the stage and share his amazing career with us, covering all these war zones around the world.
One of the things you're also doing is that you're having speaker coaches, kind of like TED Talks. I've given 3 TEDx talks, and they're always quite rehearsed. They kind of they do some level of coaching to some extent. The big TED event, the huge TED events, there they do extensive coaching and really work your presentation hard so that you can make it as tight and as good as possible. You've kind of stolen a page out of their playbook, it sounds like, because you're doing a bit of that for this upcoming speaker.
As I said in the beginning, everything is hopefully bigger and better. I'm trying to reiterate, improve on this event. And I can't remember. I got several suggestions, and it might have been from you as one of them. But yeah, I've kind of recruited several coaches, and each one of these coaches is assigned several speakers to act as a feedback mechanism to the speakers at the event. We simply want to. My whole goal is to make the speakers look amazing. I'm trying to give them this great platform, and I'm trying to raise the bar for them by incorporating people like you as a speaker coach, as well as some others.
Thank you for listening all the way to the end of this WanderLearn show. I am now using Substack.com to deliver my podcast and weekly newsletter, so please subscribe to my free Substack newsletter by using the link in the show notes. Or, if you've got a good memory, browse to ftapon.substack.com. Why ftapon? Well, it's my first initial and my last name. In fact, whatever social media app you use, including YouTube, if you search for ftapon, you'll find me, so connect with me. My website is also ftapon.com. speakpipe.com. Do you have an idea, question, or comment? Leave me an anonymous voicemail at speakpipe.com/ftapon. Lastly, become a WanderLearner by joining my paid subscriptions on Substack or patreon.com/ftapon. Wherever you join, I will reward you regularly. Tell your friends to subscribe to the WanderLearn Show. If you review the WanderLearn Show, I'll share your review on a future episode. This is Francis Tapon, encouraging you to wander and learn.